I was lucky enough to kind of introduce myself to everybody and meet everybody, and I want to reiterate a couple of things really quick so that we all feel comfortable. Everybody's not going to make at exactly the same time because for a couple of reasons. I don't want us all to just make some version of mozzarella and we don't feel like we know what we're doing and we're just trying to go along, and it's a very kind of feel-oriented craft. So I want you guys to go through that process each of kind of understanding what it's supposed to feel like and what that process is supposed to what you should be experiencing as you make it on at least a kind of a pair level, okay? Now, the other thing I want to let you all know is that we do have for $5, if you want to get up at any point you're not making and get yourself a glass of wine, we got a beautiful Chardonnay that we're pouring, beautiful Rosé that we're pouring, and a beautiful Tempranillo, nice fruity red, not too heavy because it's a little bit hot out and it's Florida, and maybe that's not the best thing to eat or drink with mozzarella either. So what we're going to do first is I'll introduce a little bit about mozzarella, and I'll tell you a little bit about mozzarella, but first I'll tell you a little bit about myself and a little bit about what we do here, and explain why I love mozzarella so much and why I'm really excited about especially the next couple of months and what's going to be happening with mozzarella here. So my name is Matt Riley. I've been a cheesemonger for 10, 12 years. Before that I was a chef, kind of all over the place, New York, LA, Boston, Chicago. And I'll tell you, when I learned to work with cheese and cured meats, the whole world kind of opened up to me in terms of what craft and ingredients are really all about, as opposed to being a chef where you're basically at the mercy of the ingredients you can get, and there's always some level of compromise where you've got to worry about food costs, and you have to kind of maybe drop the food cost on one thing. Well, as a cheesemonger, as a specialty food purveyor, what I get to do is go around and make sure I find the very best thing, and then I bring it back, and then if you'd like to purchase it, you get to do that based on what me and my buddy Lee do for a living. Okay, we really love to tell the stories of the producers that we work with, and then on top of it, we really like to explain and talk about the various different styles of mozzarella. I've been making mozzarella for about 10 years, well, since I graduated, I guess, from culinary school, I made my first mozzarella. So that was a long, long time ago. But I actually got my first cheesemonger job interviewing as a mozzarella maker for a large Italian market in New York. And I was convinced to become a cheesemonger, if you will, but I never forgot about the love that I had for crafting cheese and crafting food, just like I did as a chef. So I was able to kind of learn from the best of the best in New York and learn their techniques and kind of get some of the secrets, and learn more of the nuanced way of making mozzarella in a way that makes it really unctuous, because we like mozzarella to be kind of soft and rich, and make it in a way that is pleasing to look at, and make it and even sourcing curd and finding the right balance of how to use the process with each varying type of curd that you need to source. So that process was really fun for me. I went on from that first job and started opening up and building the mozzarella programs for this large Italian market across America, to where we were making somewhere at the high point about 2,500 to 3,000 pounds of mozzarella a week, maybe as low as about 800 or 900 in the smaller circumstances. So I have a lot of experience in volume, and one of the things we talk about in terms of mozzarella is that you get better every 2,000 pounds or so, right? You learn, so you got to make it. So when you're making a mozzarella at a place like a market or something, you're not the only one. If you're making 2,000 pounds a week, you've got a team. So it's going to take about 4 weeks or 5 weeks before you really start to go up and then plateau, and then you get up and you plateau and you start to get really, really good. But the great thing about making mozzarella, especially making it this way, is that you can make excellent mozzarella right off the bat. You guys will all go home today with little containers of wonderful mozzarella that you're all very, very proud of. And that's one of the things that I think is great about making mozzarella, is that you don't have to get bored with it because it's not good. Sometimes if you're making a recipe, especially the first time, and it's complex or something, you already know halfway through you're probably never going to do it again. Well, something like this, I encourage you guys to bring some curd. You can find it anywhere, any city you're in. All you got to do is ask a cheesemonger to find it for you, and they'll get it for you. You could find out a place that may be making it fresh. I don't know anybody else in Florida where you can go in and you can just have it made that day fresh, but if you do, you know you can always get curd from those people. Of course, we do that here, so you can always buy mozzarella curd from me, okay? And then you can do things like I love to do, which are, I like to go on holidays to my family and I'll bring some mozzarella, say on Thanksgiving, I'll bring the curd and I'll make it fresh for that meal. And it really is a special treat to have mozzarella that's only like an hour old or so. It tastes completely different than it does when it comes out of the fridge. Frankly, the way that I see it, and I think the way that any mozzarella maker, or we call it mozzare, would see it, is that you don't eat mozzarella out of hand or in a caprese or something along those lines from mozzarella that was made yesterday. You gotta make those things and eat it out of hand and eat it just straight fresh. It's only fresh mozzarella if it was made that day, okay? It loses a whole lot if it even goes in the refrigerator. So what I would encourage all of you is that at the end of this experience and you bring it home, don't put it in the fridge, just eat it. Or you can put it in the fridge, or you could drain it, or you could put it in the freezer. You can do these things and you can always cook with it. You can use it and make a wonderful margarita pizza. It'll be the best margarita you've ever had because you made the cheese yourself. But I'll tell you, like I said, if you can eat it tonight, or at least eat a little bit, or maybe a bocconcino or two, you'll get the experience of what real fresh mozzarella is, which I don't even know if anywhere outside of here that you can have. When we make it here, we only call it fresh mozzarella because it was made that day. If you see it for sale from us, you'll see it on our counter, and it was made an hour or two earlier, and you're going to bring it home and you're going to have that mozzarella fresh. We don't sell it the next day without the caveat of we'll give you 10% off because it's already been in the fridge since yesterday, but do not eat this fresh, just cook with it. It's the only way that you're going to enjoy it the way you should, because we're very proud of the mozzarella we make, and we want you guys to have that experience when you eat it, okay? A little bit more about mozzarella before we get into the make process. Mozzarella is a special cheese because it's made in a unique fashion. In Italy, they call that fashion pasta filata, okay, or spun curd, okay? So there's a number of cheeses that are made in that fashion besides fresh mozzarella. Fresh mozzarella is one of the fresh versions of pasta filata cheese, but you'll see other ones right here. There's when you take a little bit more of the moisture out of it as you make it, you can make little young mozzarella that are maybe less than 30 days old. And those in Italy are called scamorza. Some people will call them like caciotello or small caciocavallo. Basically, they're going to have the texture of what we in America call mozzarella. Because what we think of as mozzarella in America is when you go to the supermarket and you buy that little shrink wrap, like kind of brick that often has part skim on the front of it or something along those lines from Sargento or whatever. Now listen, that's not a bad cheese, but it's certainly not fresh mozzarella, okay? What it is it's a version of what I'd say is scamorza, okay? Or very young pasta filata cheese, but not fresh, okay? And the next step after that, you've got things like caciocavallo, and those are those balls that are hanging right behind you, and they call them caciocavallo not because they're made out of horse milk or anything, because of course cacio is cheese, but cavallo means horse. The reason they're called caciocavallo essentially goes back to a couple of separate roots that make sense on their own each, is that they're always coming in pairs. And when they're aged over a wooden beam, okay? And in order to be aged over, they're going to be connected by a piece of rope, and that piece of rope needs to be connected on this little nubbin of the cheese so that the cheese obviously can hang on, all right? So it's always going to have kind of that similar shape unless it's made in a totally different fashion, and I'll explain. The other explanation for caciocavallo, cheese, horse, caciocavallo, is that they would be easily brought to market in pairs like that. So you could take your mule or donkey or whatever, and you could just load them up, right? You could take them from that aging point right off the beam or whatever you were using, and you could just pile them up on the back of the burro. You could hop on top of the burro, you could ride it to the market. It's ready to go. It's even easy to market because you can just hang it right on a hook and it's simple, okay? But those are the two roots of that idea. So caciocavallo, very special cheese, but you've probably been more familiar with the term provolone, right? Or provola, okay? In the South, they say provola a lot. These are all kind of Similar, same idea. You'll always see provola with some ability to attach to a rope to hang up. That's how they're all aged. And then there's even a really special one I'll show you right here. It's called Ragusano. And this, you can see we cut just enough of it where we left some of where the rope attaches, but this is a big step, okay? Basically, it's a big brick like this. And that brick is all caciocavallo. It's made to be a brick like this. It's actually formed. And then, if this had the head on it, you'd see, but then they hang them in bricks like this. And they hang them to age in pairs also on really long ropes in really big spaces that look almost like an abstract painting of sorts, where you see all these little bricks hanging next to each other. And this one is called Ragusano. And that's the style they make in the area of Ragusa, all the way in the south of Sicily. So everywhere around southern Italy, and now even in the north of Italy, they all have their own special versions of this style we call pasta filata, okay? So this is Ragusano, very special, one of the rarest caciocavalli in the entire world, and made exclusively from the milk of the Modicano breed. This is likely not anywhere else in Florida. I encourage you to taste it. Very intense. You like sharp, if you will, picante provolone, or really intense provolone, this is your guy, okay?
I can hold that for you.
Yeah, no problem. You got a purse? We could just shove it right in there. I'll put this right back. All right. So, without too much further ado, I'm going to get started. And like I explained to everybody, we're going to move in pairs across each table and across each table and then from table to table, just so that two things happen. First of all, so I can help you guys actually make the mozzarella, because it's not really something I can just point and say. It doesn't work that way. It's a feel type of a thing. And then on top of it, so you all do have the opportunity to see what everybody's doing. One of the great things about craft is that you don't just learn from your mistakes, you learn from other people's too. You can look around and see what other people are doing and kind of get the idea or wrap your head around this process, which is, once you've done it, relatively simple, but can seem somewhat abstract if it's just kind of explained, okay? So we'll actually start with you guys, okay? And then after you guys are done, I'm gonna move on to you guys. And if you guys at that point wanna get started with what I've done, you can feel free to do that. And if you've seen anything, you feel confident enough that you wanna start that process, you can go ahead and do that as well. Certain things I've gotta do. I have to get the hot water, because it's hot and I want to make sure I have control over that. And then firstly, I'm going to have to cut all the curd for you guys. And that's the first step in making pasta filata, is that you want to get all of the curd the same temperature at about the same time, so that it's all ready to be made into cheese at about the same time, so that probably the most important thing is that it doesn't lose all the wonderful fat that's still retained within the curd, because that wonderful fat that's still in the curd is going to give you that unctuous mouthfeel, make it so it's not too squeaky, make it so it's not too tough. If it sits in that hot water and heats unevenly, you'll get some of the curd start to give up that fat before the other has melted, and then what you're going to have is an uneven curd. It's going to be a little harder to make, and then like I said, at the end it'll be a little bit squeaky and firm. That's fine for the bocconcino, so I don't want you guys to be worried about it. We're going to go through that first step, making the small little ones, like I said to everybody, and that's because I want you guys to get a feel for it, but I also want you guys to just kind of jump in and not be afraid. And the bocconcino, they hold up very well. You're going to take all this home too to eat it, so you can pop this with a couple of little sprigs of basil and a little bit of maybe Calabrian tomatoes. We have this nice little roasted baby tomatoes that go really well with it. You make a little caprese with it. It's hard to tell the difference when you're eating bocconcini in a salad, but the texture is. The next step and the second round, we're going to make those larger balls, which is going to give you that more unctuous feel, where when you cut into it, it's going to, kind of give up a little bit of that, it's kind of not really whey, but it's basically whey, water that separates from the curd, and a little bit of fat's going to come out of it. And you'll see as we go through it, after I make mine, how that works. So actually, I am going to make a little bit first, okay? Just so everybody can see, and then we'll move through, okay? My first mozzarella making class. It was my first experience making mozzarella. I was learning from somebody. This guy liked to use boiling water, okay? And the reason he liked to use boiling water was not just because he make fast mozzarella, but it was also it was because he liked to drink espresso by the bar. And he knew he only had to make so much mozzarella in a day. And he was a very interesting Italian gentleman, but that was his job. He got paid by the hour. So he would use the boiling water, get everything really hot really quick, make his mozzarella really, really quick. But it was 200 degrees, this water. So you can imagine what that did to the fat, right? It totally ruined all the fat. And the mozzarella he made was really squeaky. But what he also had were these big, thick, black, like, I don't know, dealing with plutonium gloves that he would use. And I found that those gloves didn't give you any feel for the mozzarella, and that's such an important part of it, right? So I found out that if I just use a few gloves, that it gives me a little more dexterity, and it lets me feel what's happening. I'll use a couple of these too. Let's see. I would actually use 3. But until you can hold off on putting them on. I was just going to say the first couple people that are going to make maybe, but you don't want to have a million gloves on forever. Of course, feel free. There's a garbage right here. If you ever want to throw your gloves away or you want to do anything, I've got some napkins on every table. It seems like things are full, but you'll see everything is going to be used. There's a garbage right there. Just toss anything that you don't want on your table in there, and I'll get started here. So the first thing I want to show you guys is, so this is curd. I'll show you guys what it looks like. I'm going to give you another one, don't you? You know what? I'll just use this guy here. I'll use that. So this is curd. Curd is what happens when you add rennet to milk and you heat it to a certain point. That rennet, it basically shears off the little molecules that keep all of the solid protein molecules separated. These little hairs on the end of each protein molecule, they like suspend it and make sure that each protein doesn't attach to each other. When you add rennet at a certain temperature, it cuts off all those hairs that keep things separate, and it makes all the protein come together, and it coagulates, and it comes into something that looks kind of like this, okay? And then what you're left with is a lot of water, leftover water. And some trace minerals and a little bit of fat, a little bit of protein, but not that much. And you can do things like make ricotta from that because there's still some proteins in there. You can boil that then, and you get all the proteins then will really coagulate anything trace that's left. You bring that together, and then you've got ricotta, recooked, twice cooked. That's why it's called ricotta, okay? But you have to make some kind of curd first before you can make ricotta. Now that I have my curd, I'm going to cut it. This is a curd cutter. It's not incredibly critical that you have this piece of equipment. It helps. You may at home have an egg cutter. You know those egg cutters? They kind of work too if this curd is a little bit soft or at room temperature like this is. But I have a curd cutter so that things go a lot quick when I want to make maybe 10 or 20 pounds. When I'm making 2,000 pounds a week, the curd cutter is a lot bigger and it's a lot stronger, and it can handle up in these little wires here. They don't break as often. This one probably break in about a year, and I'll have to buy a new one. They're not cheap. I recommend just using a knife and cutting it. It's not that big of a deal. But again, about that evenness is a little bit of a finesse point here, that if you can get one of these, you'll get a perfectly even thickness on your curd, which then is going to temper all the curd to whatever, again, bring that heat up all together at the same time, all together, all right? Nice and even. So I'm going to cut the curd into here. You'll see. If you guys want to, as I come around, if you have gloves on, you can do this, okay? But we'll do this for you right now. All right, so we're going to push it right through, and everything's nice and even, okay? Maybe I'll just run through and do this for the first group that's going to make their first mozzarella. There you go. Do this right there. This is called a chitarra. It's often associated with pasta. This is how in southern Italy they'll make things like spaghetti if they don't have what Jimmy has over here at extruder. It makes little square pasta, okay? Like if you have a long spaghetti, instead of it being a round tube, it's going to be a squared off because you have just a sheet that's about 1/8 of an inch thick, and you push it through your 1/8 of an inch thick chitarra, and that's how you can make spaghetti at home without an extruder. It's kind of fun, actually. So that's called chitarra, just like this is, because it's basically, that's the Italian word for guitar, right? Because it looks just like a guitar. It's just like the musical instrument. There you go. do this. So I'm just going to do 2 to begin with, and then we'll come back and get you guys. Just so that it stays all together, and then we can kind of keep going. There you go. That's for that. There we go.
Is this like cheese curd?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is...
Like
so,
what they put on poutine, basically.
yeah, well, this is like poutine. If you've ever had like fries with cheese and gravy, and in Montreal they call that poutine. This is if you were to maybe make it into smaller pieces and you were going to coat it in some kind of a batter or breading, you could fry it and you could make fried cheese curds. Usually in Wisconsin they use cheddar curds for that. This is mozzarella curd, works just as well. We've done it over at the chicken spot a few times. It's really, really fun actually. So first thing I want to do, I'm going to put this down right here. All right, and then what the next step is in this process is I'm going to take that hot water, this curd. So what we'll do, this is mine, so I'm going to take a little bit of this out. I don't want to use it all at once. We're just going to make little bocconcini to start, so we're not going to use all the curd, but you'll have it to the side, so you'll know that you're going to reserve a little bit when we make it. So the first thing we need to do is separate it all into its little layers, and you can even start doing that now if you want. I've already cut the curd. Let me get you guys started over there. Here we go. And this is just bringing the curd to temperature, okay? Let me put this down. Yeah, I'll come over here. Forgot to cut yours. Almost. Whoop. There we go. If you want to put gloves on, like I said, you can separate. The idea is that we have the hot water kind of going in between each layer so that it all comes to temperature at the same time. There you go. At this point, you can see that the curd, my curd anyway, is almost like Jell-O consistency, but it's not quite melting. Like I can't stretch it, you know, and that's an important part of the pasta filata process because you can't spin the curd if it's just going to break when you pull on it. All right, so if you can envision like cheese on pizza that's been melted, that's what we're looking for. We want it to stretch just like really good pizza cheese does. Okay, so now that I'm at this point and I've got, you know, it's nice and separated. Each curd is a little bit kind of on its own. I know that when I start to pour in more hot water, that it's gonna actually start to melt it. Okay, it's actually gonna start to melt the curd. So one thing you guys might be curious about is mozzarella has to be seasoned, right? And there's a number of different ways that that gets done, and that's basically the same for every single cheese. You either put the cheese after you've made it into a brine solution, or you can rub salt all over the cheese, dry salt all over the cheese after you've formed it. And then you can wait for that salt to work its way in. And the other thing you can do to get the salt into the cheese is direct salt the cheese. So just like if you're going to make cheddar, you can spread the salt right into the curds after you've cut them all up and you're going to make the cheddar form, or you could dry salt it, make the form, and then put the salt on the outside, or you could drop that whole thing of unsalted cheddar form right into a big brine, and then you'd have to wait, like I said. But the good thing about mozzarella and adding that salt during that direct salt during this process of melting the curd is that salt also has the ability of softening proteins. So it's going to be a lot easier to work with the mozzarella and make a nice soft mozzarella. Whereas some other mozzarella makers, what they'll do is they'll make this step without adding any salt. And then it's a little bit harder to make, so then there you got to make it a little, it's going to be a little tighter. And then what happens when you add it to the brine, which is the next step that they do, you don't really direct salt mozzarella, but when you drop that into a brine like a lot of producers do, it will eventually absorb the right amount of salt. But because salt has the ability to soften proteins, the outside is going to get slightly gooey. So you'll always know if you open mozzarella, first of all, it's often, this is those kind of stuff that often is wrapped in plastic. If you open up the plastic, the outside's going to be gooey and the inside's a little firmer. That's why. I don't like mozzarella like that. And often, if that's the case, that's the mozzarella that was made yesterday or the day before anyway, which again, I've already explained, that's not my style, okay? So now you can see the mozzarella has gone to this point where it's starting to stretch, okay? So I'm excited about adding just a little more hot water so it's a little bit softer, and then I want to gather it all together. make one mass, okay? So I'm gonna add a little bit more water, and I like to think of it in terms of threes. Sometimes it only takes two, kind of passes with this, but I think of it in terms of threes. The first one is that, you know, kind of bringing it to room temperature so it's all kind of ready to melt, and then I melt it, and then the last one is where I'm gonna add a little more hot water so everything stays nice and kind of gooey and ready to rock, and that's where I'm gonna start thinking about, can I get it all to stick together? Once that happens, and I know that that's working, I know that mozzarella is gonna stay pretty soft just like that for a while, I can take this and I can pour some of this water off so it doesn't overheat and I don't lose some more of that nice unctuous fat that I want to keep. I'm not going to completely pour the water out because it kind of helps with the process. But what I am going to do is I'm now going to let it kind of go on its own. Now this is a step that I started doing on my own. This is not typical, okay? But I realized that it was the most gentle way I could treat it. And it's also because I learned to be a bread baker when I was 4 or 5 from my mother. This reminds me of a way how you knead bread, which is kind of a unique way, but it's also a way that the curd kind of does its own thing, and I don't force anything out of it. I don't force liquid, I don't force any of that extra whey, which I want to keep inside, and I don't force any extra fat, certainly. At this point, this is where the finesse comes in, okay? This is the hard part, if you will, is where now I'm just trying to get it so it's a mass, and I wait till it's shiny. You'll see as I'm coming across and I make it with each of you how it's gonna be shiny. Once it's shiny, I know it's kind of ready to go, and then I'm gonna squeeze off a little bit, okay? Because this is a bocconcino, and I'm gonna go right into there, okay? Right here. I'm gonna have a little bit. Gather that together. I'm gonna make a tiny one, ciliegine, okay? Right here, right off into there, okay? Next one is gonna be a little bit bigger. Maybe I make another bocconcino right into there. And you'll see what I'm doing with my hands. I'm cutting it. Mazzare in Italian means the cut. And that's the most important part. When you gather it together, you don't wanna smash it. You just wanna push it together and push it off, okay? And what you're gonna get at that point is you're gonna get a nice seal, and you're gonna have a nice kind of outside layer that's gonna hold in any moisture while it sits in the water, okay? There's a little ciliegine. What I do with a little bit left over is I eat it every time, because this is gonna inform me of how much salt I have in it, okay? Yeah, all of our water is right now kept at a certain temperature. You see, it's almost boiling. Holy cow, it is boiling. I've got a temperature gauge here. It reads about 210 degrees. Okay, we're not gonna make it at 210 degrees. That was Vinny in New York. He made it at 210 degrees. We don't have plutonium gloves on here, and we wanna make our mozzarella taste good. So we don't make it at that temperature, but you'll see I had Carissa kind of pour out a picture of it just a minute ago. Okay, so it came to temperature. It's probably sitting at about 120 degrees, which is not so hot.
Do it like in a flat surface or a bowl?
Well, if you make it, you can make it in a bowl. But just mind you, when you make it in a bowl, what you get is a constant urge for the curd to come together. And in those first 2 steps of adding that hot water, you don't want it to come together. Because if it comes together, then if it comes together and starts to stick and it hasn't melted yet, then you've basically gone back to square one. So you want it to have enough surface area to spread out so that each little bit gets to melt at the same rate. Once that happens, if you had a bowl, well, it wouldn't make that much of a deal because then they would all come together and it would come in mass and it'd actually be maybe a little easier. But we're only making a little bit of mozzarella, so we like to use a little container like this. And when we're making it for service, maybe we're making 4 or 5 pounds here, or at that other location, maybe we're making 10 pounds at a time. At that point, we want to use the edges of the bowl to help us bring it together when it's time, so that things can go quickly once it's all melted. Once it's melted, you want to move fast because the longer it just sits in that hot water without you kind of sealing it up and mazzare off and sealing that off, the more you're going to lose in terms of fat coming out of the mozzarella. So the next thing I normally do is I'll take the mozzarella, I put it right into water on purpose. The reason I put it directly into water is so that it doesn't turn into a pancake. Because once I turned it into that ball, that nice ball, it's still warm. If I don't put it into cool water, you don't have to be cold water because you'll shock it and it'll kind of seize up like if it's in the fridge. But if it's room temperature water, it'll cool down enough to where it becomes somewhat of a solid mass. And if it's floating in fresh water, not salted water, but if it's floating in fresh water, it'll keep its kind of ball formation, okay? So the next thing we do, and we do this here also, I'll actually bring this around and show you guys right now. See how it's all sealed off there? All right, it's all sealed off. See how that's all sealed?
Oh, yeah.
That's what you're really looking for. So you hold all that little bit of moisture and a little bit of salted moisture inside of the ball, okay? That's ideally what you'd like. There's a couple of things that can happen that will make it not quite do that, but see when I cut it, see what you'll see is how it's got a nice loose texture, it's very open, and then I taste it. I'm gonna have you guys taste this because this is an opportunity now for me to make an adjustment. And this is how we would do it. Let's try that. Let's try that. This is an opportunity for me to find out if the salt is right. There's a lot of things that can make things go differently with the salting of the water, okay? And I want to hear what you guys have to say. Just like on our team when we make mozzarella, we always taste the first couple of mozzarella balls just to make sure that we don't make a whole bunch of batch that's over seasoned. The trick of it, here, why don't you take a little bit. There you go, try that. Try that. There you go. There you go, try that. So,
Amazing.
yeah, and very easy, you know, you can see it wasn't very hard. We'll do this guy, we'll do this guy. Oh, we'll give these guys that one, there you go. All right, now I was gonna see when you cut it. Give Lisa some. Here you go, Lisa. So I'll show you. When I cut this open, you're going to see the open texture of it right here. That nice open texture. You can still see the layers, which is important for pasta volata, but see when you taste it, you're going to look for salt here, okay? The reason why it's important to have it seasoned really, really well, but not too much, and if anything, maybe a little too much, because again, you're going to sit it in water, and so there'll be a little bit of loss of salt, but you want that salt to be right at the edge if you can, because if it's at the edge or slightly over, what you'll end up with is a really nice soft texture, and you won't get that if you under season it. In fact, if you're making it with pretty hot water and you've got nice curd and you're tasting your water to see if it's at the right point, we're using 5% salt right now for our water, so by weight, right? So you can use that as a gauge. But it does change. It changes based on the salt you use and changes based on the point you're at. I mean, if you add the salt in the beginning and you let that water boil away for a little while, that's going to change the salt concentration. The idea is that if you have it right at the edge, it's got the right texture. But then if you go way too high on the salt from the beginning, so don't go crazy, it's really hard to back into a place where it's right. Because all we as humans seem to be able to taste is too salty. Not like way too salty, it's like just way too salty. It's like perfect and then way too salty. Like the ocean when you drink the water, it's like way too salty, right? Well, ironically, as far as the ocean is 3.5% water, salt, right, on average across all the oceans. This is just a little more than that, okay? So it's just interesting to me that it really does come close. I've made mozzarella with really soft curd from 3.5%, and it's turned out excellently. It all has to do with, again, the curd you're using. But most of the curd you find down here, it's going to be about 5%, and that's what I would use. I'm going to taste it myself just to make sure. I'm also going to have Carissa taste it. I always love to have somebody else taste it because you never know. Honestly, if you've done any drinking the night before, it's likely that you're not going to taste the salt quite as well. So I always have Carissa, who's got a great palate. I always have her try a little bit, and she tells me. She seems to like her mozzarella. Oh, you don't have to worry about that. I'll take care of it. It's all good. Don't worry. No, it's all good. I got that.
I leaned on the table.
Ah, you're okay. Yeah, these tables are a little shaky. I apologize.
I'm gonna say,
What do you think? I don't know. I haven't tasted it.
say that I like my
Oh,
mozzarella
a little bit over seasoned. And the reason I say that,
but this is too salty. And I like it too salty and this is too salty.
it's too salty. So that actually explains a lot. When I made this, it's very easy to adjust. For me, I can adjust it. But I can tell you the reason why I was going to guess that that's the case is that when I started to make it, it was almost too easy. And with this curd, the temperature, just because I happen to know with this curd, the temperature normally has to be a little bit higher in order to get it to be soft. So my guess was as soon as I started adding that water, and it was already at a lower temperature, and that's started to melt really easy, I was like, you know what, it's probably going to be a little bit salty. So this is 5%. Maybe I should have gone about 4%. But it doesn't, it's just interesting because when we make it typically, 5% is kind of our sweet spot. So maybe it's the rain, maybe it's humidity, I don't know what it is, but maybe it's because we're using a new pot, I'm not sure, but it is a little bit salty, so we're just gonna dilute it a little bit. You can actually make this. So, this is your reservoir, okay? And you might want to move these just to that side because you're going to go from here to here. All right. Here, we'll put this right here because you're going to actually make it right into this. So you can put that anywhere you like. But we're going to put this right here. You can stand up or sit down. It's totally up to you. You may want to stand up. It gives you a little more control. And then take about a handful of that. This is still nice and hot. Yeah, that's great. Cool. Drop it right in there. And I'm going to pour this in. And then you are going to separate those into little, like each individual, just let them all, peel them all apart from each other and let them all sit in there, okay? Yeah, you just each layer, you can leave them whole, but you just want to separate them from each other. Exactly, there you go. And do all of that and try to get into a single layer. There you go, and I'll be right back. Who was happy with this? You liked it, or you thought it was a little salty?
I loved it, but if I'm making it, I'll use a little less salt.
Okay, you liked it though.
No, I was the first one to say it was salty.
Okay, who said it was? You thought it was perfect? Okay, so why don't we have you make the next one? Okay, so I'm going to use this same water because it's a little bit tepid, and it'll help bring that temperature down, or up, I should say, of the curd as it is now. Here, we'll pour a little bit off. Woo. This can be our little dump area, so that we can get rid of any extra whey we don't want to have.
What do you need us to move for you?
Okay, I'm just going to put this down. There you go. You want to grab that little napkin right there, maybe. There we go. Cool. And I'm going to have you trade. But you want to cut? Yeah, we can cut the curd. You can keep that over there. We can do it, cut the curd. Yeah, why don't you cut the curd? All right, yeah, there you go. Yeah, we'll just use that. So I want you to take this and take about half of it, maybe a little less, and just layer them out into this hot water, okay? There we go. We'll put a little bit of hot water in there. It's not so hot you can see that it's going to burn you, but just put a little bit in there. There you go. Perfect. There you go. Good stuff. Yeah, put it right in there. You can get a little more, maybe one more slab. Yeah, it's a little bit hotter. Keep putting gloves on because this is going to actually get that to melt, okay?
Okay.
There you go. Now, if you could just fill that. See how it kind of breaks just a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, and then I'm going to be right back with you, okay? Awesome. Now, this is going to be the tricky part because you're all set. You can see how shiny that is?
Yes.
All right. Now, start to kind of form it and push it under itself. You're thinking about like Play-Doh and how to get it to push under itself and make a little ball. You got to stick more in that hole. You got it from underneath. Here you go. I'll show. Oh, yeah, you got it. Good. Now, cut. There you go. Now, you're going to drop this. You're going to take one thumb and you're going to cut it right off into the water. This is the hard part. Yeah, there you go. It's always tough. There you go. Cut it. There you go. Perfect. That's great. Now try to make one more of those.
Out of this?
Yeah, you push that in there. Now we're going to look it for a mass again. So let go of it for a sec, and you're just going to let it go there. Now fold it. And what you're doing is you're taking the more of it and pushing it up, and you're going to make a little hole and push it up through the hole, right like that. And then when you close your fingers, you'll make a ball.
Okay.
Give that a try. There you go. You got it. Perfect. Right in there. There you go.
I'm not
cool.
doing very good there.
Well, it's okay because you know what's happening is you're grabbing it and pulling it.
So
what you want to
should I
do,
be doing?
watch this. It's like a scissor.
Oh, with the thumb.
You're going to use your thumb and make it like a scissor. There you go. You got it. Perfect. Go for it. There you got it. Get like a mass. Think of it like you're trying to push a marble through. You want it to be a marble. There you go. Make it like a round now. This thumb right through over, like your scissors. There you go. You got it. You got it. You'll see, this is the practice, right? Bring it all together. Use your hands, bring it all together. You're not gonna mush it, just push it together so it all sticks, because it's gonna stick to itself, all right? Once it's a mass, I want you to treat it like that whole mass is an envelope and fold it in half and then watch it go down. And then once it goes down, you don't, yeah, exactly. Right here, now it's a mass, right over. See how it drops?
Okay, yeah.
Right over, okay? Every time you turn it over, if you need to, you put a little piece in there, right over like that, and you'll see it start to go down. Do that like 3 or 4 more times, and you'll be good. All right, now you're good. Sweet. All right, cool. Now,
when I was talking earlier about that,
what happened,
that
I think,
idea
here
of
is you were ready to go. It was very close, but then you brought it together a little too quick. So no problem. So we're going to pour more hot water in, okay?
Are the people
Because the idea is you want it all to become gooey, all together separate, all right? Each little bit is going to have to be gooey on its own, okay? So right here, we're going to see, it'll come together, but it's going to be a little tough. It's okay, though, because what all we're trying to do is we're trying to just get that mass to get hot again, all right? So I'm going to spread it out a little bit. You'll see. This is a good temperature for the water because if it was boiling, we wouldn't be able to do this. Because it's nice and warm, it's okay. Now, you see how it's starting to stretch?
Yeah.
All right, think about rolling each little bit under itself and then get it into a ball now. Try it now.
Okay.
Yep.
Stand up.
There you go. You're good. Yeah, stand up. It's easier. Certainly. Yeah. All right.
So I'm rolling it into a ball.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, think of it that way. That's good. Yeah, roll it up into a ball. There you go. Nice. Go ahead. Yeah, it's, you know what? At this point, we're thinking about making it into a mass. And so it's less likely to do that on its own because it's just lost a little bit of its gooiness, if you will. So this is going to get it to a point where it's nice because what we have inside here is kind of perfect. And you're going to turn it like this, make a little round hole like this with your fingers, go like that.
Yeah.
Okay, what we're going to do, make that A-OK sign. There you go, perfect. Now, let me see this for you.
Squeeze it.
Yeah, one sec, let me get this for you. Here, we'll do this, watch. You're ready, you're good. All right, you're good now.
so scary.
Like a scissors, chop it right off, like your thumb is a scissor. Cut it with the other one, there you go. Yeah, chop that right off into there. You got it, chop it off. You got to chop it off.
Get in there.
Get in there, drop it in there. There you go.
Oh my God.
There you go, it's tough. But you got a ball. That's a bocconcino right there. You did it. See how shiny it is and round?
Okay.
All right, so we're going to keep going. You put that right into there, okay? And then when we're done. Yeah, you're good. I'm going to put it right there. Keep going. And while this is hot, and then if you need more hot water, I'll give you more hot water. All right. This is great. You're doing great.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are. You think you are, but you'd be surprised. It's going to taste great. There you go, right in there. Oh, no. You got to, you're going to want to work with this one here, right?
Down the edge.
See how that right there? See how it's like kind of one solid mass?
Yep.
That's your A-OK. You make that A-OK and you push that right into there and you got a bocconcino on your, there you go. Perfect. Get it all, you got it. No, it's okay. It's good. You're good. There you go. Perfect. There you go. Perfect. Here you go. Now you're going to want to get that separated. There you go. Separate those two and then just let them temper for a little bit. Separate those out and separate those two too and let them sit a little bit. All right. Now. Oh, you want to go next? Yeah, you can go next. And you'll see it's going to start to melt pretty quick. Nice, gorgeous. Don't go too far because you're going to be moving in a sec. Now, you can see if you press on it, a little bit, it needs a little more hot. Once I add that hot water, give it about 30 seconds and then just kind of push it all together, okay? You'll see you'll push it and it'll be like gooey instead of breaking, okay? Once it gets real gooey, bring it all together and I'll be right back. Awesome. Fold it over. Okay, and you're going to make a little ball, and you're going to drop it right into that. If you don't mind moving that for me, there we go. We'll just push that all the way over. Beautiful. Yeah, it's good. I can see from looking, oh, hold on one second, let me see. Let me take a look. Now, one of the things, see those right there? You're going to separate those. Those are two laying right on top of each other. Try to separate. Okay, you're good. That's fine. Now, you see it's still ready. It's still nice and tender. I'm going to add a little more hot water just to keep it nice and gooey.
Okay.
And then here's what you're looking for.
Okay.
When you fold it,
Yeah.
you got it. This is great. This is great. Fold it. You're going to want to push it up. And all that you want to get through your finger until it makes a little bit of a mushroom and then push that mushroom right into the water. Okay, push it like this. Cut it right off like that.
Okay.
When it's nice and gooey, you can see push all the way through. You can push all the way down to the bottom. You don't feel any break or anything. Now you're good to go. So you take that, just kind of fold it over, and you'll see it go to goo. And then once it's totally gooed out and it's all one mass, then you're going to bring it together into a bit of a ball, and you're going to get the tip of that ball into a mushroom, and you're going to squeeze it just between these. You don't have to push anything. No, you're good.
Let it chill.
Yeah, you're good. You're actually ready to go now. Right there. See how it's shiny? That's how you know it's ready to go. Now I'm making it into a round ball very carefully with my fingers, and I want to push a mushroom through an A-OK sign, and then I want to close the A-OK sign and my thumb over my other finger's forefinger, and it's a perfect ball right into the water. There you go. It will not pull. You have to cut it. A mozzarella. There you go. Perfect bocconcino right there. Perfect. All right. Okay. This time we're just kind of tucking until we make a little round thing we can seal and push off, okay? You go ahead and do it. And you're going to push it off into your own little thing here. Yeah, you got it. All right, you got it? And that one looked pretty good. I saw that one. That was pretty good.
This is my pride and joy right there.
All right, all right, all right. Well, that's the idea. Once you kind of wrap your head around the one you like and the way you did it that way, then you've got to do it again. And once we get the big one, the next one we're gonna do one whole one. Then you're gonna kind of know how you want it to be. So you pick out your favorite, and then think about why you like it that way. Has a chance to come together. You can see how nice and warm it is. All right. We're gonna push all that nice and together, and then just let it fold. Bring it like this, and it'll fold. Okay, just like that. Let it wait till it comes down to about half an inch, and then give it one more. There you go. Nice. I'm gonna give you a little more hot water. All right, let me give her. Actually, just pour this back in top. I'm sorry, I don't mean to make you do that, but I want to get everybody in a good place. All right, there you go. I think you're pretty much ready to make this into a mozzarella ball. Because you see how that's all pretty much nice and shiny in one ball? Now think about it like getting it into a shape of a ball, but you want that one surface that can be smooth, continuous, so that when you bring it up through that big hole, you want to start off with a nice big OK sign on your right hand. There you go, you got it. You got it, yeah, that's the idea. Get out of there. With this hand, you're gonna push, make a big OK here, big OK. Yeah, OK. All right, you're good. Yeah, you got it, you're good. And you're going, where are you going? You're gonna go into there? All right, yeah, that's good, that's good. Right in there, right in there. There you go, cut that off. You got it, you got it, you got it. Now, quickly, one bocconcino. You can do one more bocconcino, quick. Yeah, it's ready to go. It's all ready to go. Which hand's OK? This is the OK sign, right? Is it this one or this one? Which one are we doing? This one? It's a nice big A-OK sign, nice big A-OK sign. You're gonna put as much through here of that one continuous surface as you can, and then when there's just a little left, right into wherever your reservoir is, close it up and chop it off, okay? That's the idea. Big OK? You're gonna make the OK sign with this hand, and you're gonna pick it up with that hand and push it through, okay? Yeah, you got it, yeah. You got it, that's it, you're ready to go. Well, you can make two if you want, or you're gonna make the whole one.
No.
To make two, good. All right, now push, now you're gonna, it's okay, now just chop it off. You got it. That's it, perfect. Now back in the water, make one more just like that with everything that's left. Here we're folding, right? We're gonna let it fold. There you go. Where's that surface? We gotta find that. Where's that surface? Is that the surface? That's the surface you want right there, I think, right? That's the surface, I think, right? That's that continuous surface. Think about that whole thing going together up into your, and then everything else you're gathering underneath. There you go. There you go, right in there. Oh, your money. Your money. Perfect. Okay. Good stuff. Okay, guys. Change temperature too much, so it'll insulate the water a little bit. So I'm gonna pour that right in there, and you can pour the rest of your curd all in there too, okay?
So does it need to be separated like the rest?
Exactly. You wanna make sure it all comes to temperature at the same time. All right, beautiful. How you doing? Do a nice little jingle. No pushing, no pushing, no pushing. But you do just wanna feel. So we're pretty much ready to go here, okay? So what I would do then is I'm gonna pour off some of this, okay? And that's gonna help it just gather together in a continuous little, yeah, exactly. And once you feel it like it's gooey, that's when you're gonna start that process of bringing it together, folding it over, let it go, blah, fold it over one more time, about 3 times, you get that single surface. And then you know, you bring it into one ball, leave just a little bit left, plop it in there, and you're gonna have beautiful mozzarella. All right, cool, we're good, let me get, no, you're good, you're good. Oh, wait, what are you doing? What are you doing? Here you go. So the reason why sometimes you don't want to do that is because once you dump out the water, you've got to make sure there's water right there. So we're good. Actually, it was good that you did that, but we want it to be a kind of a slow, graduated process. What we want to do is just make sure that it has a chance. I think we're good. Oh, here you go. No, you're good. Push everything up into that inside of the mushroom, and then you're going to make the OK sign and close the OK. It goes right in there. Okay? You're pretty much good. You're good. You're good. You're good. That's it. That's it. One big OK. And push it up through. You got it. That's it. Right into the water there. You're good to go. You're good. You're good. It's good. It's perfect. There you go. That's great. No, that's fine. That's actually going to be great. Just leave it just like that. You don't even have to cut it off. That's going to be perfect. Yeah, a little bit more in here. A little bit more in here if you would. Awesome. Okay, guys. Fold it over itself, and then it just goes. And then you fold it over, and then it just goes.
I'm letting it rest.
There you go. Oh, this is going to be a nice one.
We're speaking to each other right now. So
You're communicating. You're communing with the mozzarella.
I'm like, I talk to my food.
Yeah, the dough, right? you want it to be totally almost like goo by the time you do that. But you're pretty much ready to go. So a little hot water and a little hot water in there.
How do I want it?
Just a little bit in there.
Yep.
And then take everything out of take the rest and pour it in this woman's over here. Right here. All right. All the rest right into there.
Excuse me, Jennifer.
The whole thing right into there.
Got it.
Good stuff. And I think you're going to be good right here. Yeah, you're there. You're there. Beautiful.
I'm gonna give it like 20 more seconds.
Do it. Give it 20. No, that's good. That's good. Just want it to be totally goo. You're perfect. All right, you're ready to go.
All right.
Where's your smooth surface?
All right.
You see? That's ready to be mozzarella. Think about just a little, take that whole one surface and try to make a continuous mushroom and then just everything except a little bit right in there. If you miss some of it, don't worry, but get it right into here or whichever your thing is. And you'll have great mozzarella. That's gonna be perfect. All right. You good? You guys are set. You're getting started. Awesome. All right, guys, I think you should be ready. You need a little tiny bit more hot water. You're in perfect shape. Okay, bring it together.
It's metal as plastica.
I don't know. Well, no, you're right. The metal normally will like make it so that you have to move a little quicker. You're gonna have a little more time to make it the perfect way. That's good. That's good. Let it drop in there. Let it drop. Your smooth surfaces here. Okay. You make it look like that. You're a professional mozzarella maker right there. All right. Let me get you some more hot water. And you're good to go. All right. We're going to give you 45 seconds with this, and then you're going to gather it together. Exactly. You must be Italian. Look at that. That's gorgeous. See how it has one continuous thing all around this part? That's what you're looking for. And even this part here, you can see it's sealed. That's the good thing. You have it all sealed up. So it's going to keep all that whey in there. When you do cut into this, it's going to be like the perfect texture, and you'll see all those all that extra little moisture and fat's going to come right out of there. One, you have to give it to Majo so she can finish and make hers. I'm feeling Majo's going to beat both of you, to be honest. All right. You guys, you got to start it. Here we go. All right, we're popping, rocking and rolling. I think you are good. Yeah, you are. You're perfect. Bring it all together just like we did before. If you want to pour some of this off into there, you can. Here, I can help you.
Yeah, I'll let you do it.
Yeah, I'll do it. It's going to be a little easier. There we go. Well, no, but you're good. Your sensibility for when it's like ready to go is right on. No, you know exactly now. See how it kind of helps it come together? Bring it together, do that fold thing, and you'll be good. How are you doing? Yeah, it needs a little more hot water. Yeah, I'd say about one and a half minutes. Something like that. All right. You guys are looking good. The next step we're going to do is we're just going to take these, and you don't have to do it now, but we're going to take these and we're going to fill it up just about a third of the way so that you guys can put as much in there as you feel comfortable with without stuffing them too much. There's more than 2 for each person, so you don't have to worry. And then when we put that in there, it'll keep it nice and buoyant so that it doesn't turn into a pancake. You can put as much, everybody has at least 2, but I got a bunch back there. If you want 3 or 4, I'll give you more. It's no big deal. Absolutely. Yeah, you're good. All right. Majo, ready? Here we go. Gorgeous. All right, now don't touch it. Just shake it. Just give it a little jiggle. You're going to keep everything moving around a little bit so it all tempers at the right same time, okay? There we go. A little more hot water. See how it just still wants to just melt itself? Beautiful. Yeah, you got it. It's ready to go now. It's ready to be mozzarella, I think. Yeah, you're good. You're good. See how it's so smooth on that side? Now you make it. Now you make the okay, big okay sign. Big okay with left hand. Big like this. Like this. This. Right? Big. There you go. You're good. You're good. Just like that. Like that. Okay. This side. Like this. It's going to go right up into that. Okay. Big okay. Push it all the way through. Big okay. Open. You're good. Okay, now close. Close this finger all the way into, where's your water? Oh, here you go, right here. Tight, close. Tight all the way close. Now, cut it right there. You're good. Oh, it's okay. Hey, wait, no, leave it. You're good. Here, I'll show you. You can fix this right here. Nice and gentle, like bread, right? It's nice and gentle, okay? And then we take it like this, all the way around. And then, okay, just like that, okay? No squeezing, just open, nice and easy, like this, okay? Okay, now tight
tight, 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 totally tight, 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 tight. Now.
Sí, fuerte, con el dedo. Pa.
Ah, con este.
There you go. There you go.
Espera, sí.
That's it. Yeah, see? Beautiful. Now that's perfect. That's the perfect amount. Now, you take this. Okay, nice little. You eat it.
Thank you.
Ah, there you go. That's it. That's mozzarella. Good job. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Everybody made mozzarella? All right. We have fun making mozzarella balls.